Time to move on to this week's talking point on the IGN UK podcast. And Alex, I think you had a hand in this week's talking point, did you not?
Well, Zack Snyder probably had a greater hand in this, because for this week on Twitter, he revealed the first picture of the new Batsuit. So Ben Affleck as Batman, and I think he looks rather goddamn good.
Mm-hmm. It's very recognisably his chin.
Very positive reaction, I think.
Obviously, with a bit of the Batmobile in the background.
That's interesting, because they were teasing the reveal of the Batmobile, like saying, "Oh, tomorrow we'll take back the tarpaulin." Tom Paulin. And it was Batman who did
absolutely disgraceful.
And actually, the Batmobile's in the background.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So I am going to ask the question in a minute.
Yeah.
Which is your favourite Batsuit? Is the one that you've got in your little sex dungeon at home?
It is, with the nipples.
Oh, I was going to say the one with the nipples.
Sorry,
get on to that.
But I just wanted to get, before we talk about that, what's your kind of first impressions of the Batfleck suit?
I like it, and I think he is going to be a really good Batman. But we all know what my biggest problem is.
We've spoken about a lot on this podcast.
So I'm not going to say it again for fear of becoming even
or a Snyder problem.
Yeah,
but you like Sucker Punch and stuff.
I like Snyder's art direction, but as an action director and a storyteller, I just don't think he cuts the mustard.
I didn't like Man of Steel. I wasn't a big fan.
What do you think of the Batsuit, though?
The Batsuit, I think, looks quite good. Yeah. I mean, so it seems a bit of an evolution.
He's got little ears.
He's got little ears. Really he's also very, very big and chunky.
He is, isn't he?
And if you turn one of the first things I did when I got it, the picture through, I turned up the contrast.
Yeah,
and it is a bit. The bat shield on his chest is very heavily scratched.
Yeah. So the suit that it reminds me most of is the one from The Dark Knight Returns, which, so I'm showing a picture to you guys, so this was all the skins that came with Batman Arkham City. You could play as all these different iterations, but Dark Knight Returns, obviously the Frank Miller iteration of the Batsuit, it's got so much in common with that, which I think if you're going to pick one to go for, that's
and it does make him look massive. That suit, doesn't he? He looks huge in that.
Well, in that comic book, he's an old man.
He's a bit older.
Yeah, so he's
coming out of
he's kind of really chunky and just.
It's quite grizzled. It also reminds me of that.
Thanks.
Like, even though he's not wearing a suit in the image, have you seen that Alex Ross drawing of Batman, or painting, where it's Batman like coming back and he's taking off the cowl and it's from behind? And I think The Dark Knight kind of references it. You see him from behind and he's just like hideously scarred his back.
Right.
He's really big. He's obviously been doing this for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
And it's just, you can just see the pain and the turmoil that being Batman has brought upon him.
Yeah.
I want to see Mickey Rourke play him as an old man.
God.
Oh no!
I really do. I think that would be fantastic. After his performance in The Wrestler, I think it'd be really interesting. And of course, with what's his name coming out this year? Think Sin City 2. This year or next year?
This year.
Yeah, I think it would be really. Yeah, you could imagine that picture that you're showing us there. You could imagine that being old,
like an Affleck. It looks a bit more like that. But the thing with the new Affleck suit, it looks like it's very rigid. Well, at least the cowl is. Yeah. Because the Nolan films kind of moved away from that and made the suit more kind of tactical. Yeah. And they rationalised that in the films, because you go to Lucius and you go, I give you the latest military stuff. Yeah. And it was, by the time it got to Dark Knight Rises, it was all kind of bits and panels on top of a mesh.
Kind of like body armour.
Yeah, and they could like really tactical move his head for the first time. But what you sacrifice there is that silhouette. And that really kind of iconic silhouette, which the new one seems to have. Yeah. But obviously that creates performance problems.
Yeah. It's a brave move to get rid of something that iconic as well, though, isn't it, in something like Dark Knight Returns, where you don't have that traditional silhouette of him.
No, you don't. And they kind of like fake it with lighting and like shooting him against the night sky, but it's not as good as Batman Begins even. Like, so my favourite one is actually the Batman Begins suit. Because when it came out, it has that very rigid headpiece, but I remember like Nolan describing it like a jaguar, like because it was quite muscular and it's like he was ready to pounce. And I like the rest of the suit isn't compartmentalized yet. It's got this really nice matte black to it, so it looks kind of stealthy. And one of my favorite things was how big the cape was, and also again the look of the cape. It wasn't like leather, it wasn't shiny, it's kind of this like matte material that would almost, I don't know, just like look like the night. That sounds pretentious, but it looked like it was darkness.
Like, my least favourite Batsuit is the one from Batman Forever with the kind of silver bits on it.
The sonar suit.
Is that what it's called?
It's called the sonar suit. Actually, Christian Bale used that for his audition for Nolan. That's the suit that Nolan used to audition actors. Cillian Murphy.
Oh my gosh.
There might even be pictures of them floating around in it.
Wow.
Imagine that.
But yeah, so other things, obviously, you cannot beat Adam West.
I was going to say Adam West. I was honestly going to say Adam West because that is obviously the first Batman I ever remember seeing. I remember watching it on TV when it was repeated in the late 70s, early 80s, and I just thought it was absolutely marvellous. Really, really entertaining.
Yeah.
And so colourful. That blue on it was just so
there's elements
vivid.
of that in the new one.
Yeah.
Again,
Small ears.
short ears.
Yeah.
Although, the sort of painted on eyebrows and the bit around the nose is a little bit kind of strange.
It does look like the new one is kind of... Where do you stand on colouring for Batman suit? Because the new one looks like it's two-tone. It looks like it could be grey and black, which we've never really had in a big film because they've always gone black, or then in the Schumacher years you've had flirtations with colour and silver and metallic stuff.
Well, Val Kilmer's was quite shiny, right?
Yeah, towards the end, yeah.
So I really like the Dark Knight Returns, like the flat grey with the black insignia and everything else is black. So the body stocking, for want of a better word, is grey. Everything else is black.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of having like a yellow.
It doesn't look like the new one is as heavily...
It's not great for camouflage, is
armoured.
it?
It almost, even though there's no reason for them to be similar at all, because Superman's suit is his native Kryptonian-like dress. They almost look like they look similar. They're like really heavily texturized. So it looks like it's a thin suit rather than armour he's wearing, which is more traditional.
Yeah. But my favourite Batsuit is Jim Lee's Batsuit.
George Clooney's Batsuit, you say?
George Clooney.
I quite like
Jim
George
Lee.
Clooney.
So Jim Lee is obviously, alongside Frank Miller, kind of one of the most prolific Batman illustrators. And there's definitely similarities between a lot of his Batsuits. The one I'm showing you here is the one from All-Star Batman and Robin. But the stuff that he did on Hush and a bunch of other stuff is he really uses the cape as part of the costume. And obviously all the poses that he does. Yeah. But yeah, I'd really like to see that. And rather than it just being a body armour, I want it to be like, something different. Maybe it should be not just like a Kevlar suit, but something.
Yeah. Well, I think this is obviously the treatment for this. I don't know what the treatment is for the new Batman, but it seems like it's more comic booky in a way, whatever that term means. But I'm using that in distinction to the Nolan films, which were real world, as grounded as they could be. So it was like military hardware that a billionaire could have access to. It almost feels like this is maybe. You could get away with it being more like a superhero costume.
But if you're going up against Superman, you kind of would expect that. Like the other thing that I really liked about Nolan stuff is in the first film when he's kind of much more as a kind of a fear figure, rather than just being a guy in a suit. Everybody fearing the Bat.
Yeah, that kind of like drained out the series a little bit because he kind of retired. It's almost Nolan's films, because the art they wanted to tell, they kind of missed out all his best crime fighting years.
Yeah,
because by Dark Knight came around, he'd already been doing it for years. By Rises comes along, he's retired. You never get to see him
in his prime,
and that's why I really like Batman Begins so much, because it's like that's Batman. That's like true out and out Batman.
I read an interesting article, I think it was in The Guardian today, about how stuff like the really dark stuff that we're kind of used to, that trend is coming to an end in the same way that our love affair with Mad Men seems to be coming to an end, and all these really good gritty TV dramas seem to be drying up. And 24's come back, which is more crash, bang, wallop, explosions, in your face kind of stuff. And maybe it is cyclical, and I think that's probably what we're going to experience
That's
next.
really interesting, because you remember it was like 5-10 years ago, the buzzword, like this, like every time there was a sequel, was gritty.
Yeah.
You say, well, what was we going to do with the sequel? It's going to be grittier. It's going to be edgier. It's like, what does that mean?
We're kind of over it, aren't
do you know what the phrase used in association with Schumacher Batsuits was?
What?
The redesign. It was to give it an MTV organic, edgier feel. What the hell does that mean?
MTV organic.
That's like
edgier
some
feel.
creatives coming into the designer. What do you want? I just want this MTV organic, edgier feel. All right, I'll just do that. I'll just get my markers then.
You can see elements of that because there was so much neon in the film and the way it was lit and all that kind of stuff. It was like,
it could have been,
it's kind of a Max Headroom video or something like that.
Well, I feel sorry now for the Fantastic Four reboot, because they're going to be out of sync once again. They're going for a darker, grittier Fantastic Four.
And we've moved on to Marvel stuff where it's like, let's just have a bit of fun with this. I'm Iron Man, let's play some AC/DC and
that's
shoot
why the first
stuff.
Fantastic Four failed, right? Because it was a
ahead of its time.
romp when it was actually
we
were getting into the gritty stuff.
You can just imagine the poor producer or director.
Although, to be fair, I imagine the producer of Fantastic Four would love to think of himself as avant-garde. We were just ahead of our time, darling. Michael Chiklis, like I was channeling Brecht.